You'll make this rather snappy, won't you? I have some very heavy thinking to do before 10 o'clock.
All right, good evening. Welcome into Greenie Sports Cards Live, the world's first multi-stream broadcast for the hobby industry, coming at you every Tuesday as we are tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern with guest interviews, hobby news, information, and the latest updates. And we've got a really, really awesome show for you tonight, a Hall of Fame show for you, in fact, tonight. We're going to be joined by a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame on the fan side, Ray Prisby. Very excited to talk to Ray. We could talk to Ray for hours. He's got all kinds of interesting stories and stuff to share. But we're going to talk about the knock, his experience of getting the call for the Hall of Fame. We're going to talk about some of his custom collection. We're going to talk about his Browns Corvette, I believe, at some point. So really cool stuff with Ray. We're going to be joined by Adam to talk about some modern hobby news and some information on that front. And then we're going to welcome for the first time a member of the Greenie gang as well, our resident vintage expert, Cooper, who we've got some questions for Cooper on the vintage side. So a little bit of modern, a little bit of vintage, and a whole lot of Hall of Fame tonight on Greenie Sports Cards Live. Thank you for joining us, as many of you continue to do every week on multiple platforms. So if you're on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or LinkedIn or Twitch, thank you for joining us. If you're on the X, feel free to comment. This is an interactive show. Ask questions. Let us know where you're watching from. We can see all those comments and we'll integrate them into the show. So we want to give you a quick preview off the top of Ray Prisby and his experience. We'll give you just a little bit of taste. Then we'll go ahead and bring in Adam and Cooper, talk to them a little bit about some card stuff, and then keep the show rolling. So thank you for joining us here on Greenie Sports Cards Live.
Hey, David Baker here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It is our great privilege to do something every year with our good friends at the Ford Motor Company.
Hey, Ray, I'm here to nominate you for the Ford Hall of Fame.
Ray Prisby has assembled one of the world's biggest Cleveland Browns memorabilia collections, and now is part of the Hall of Fame collection as well.
I mean, it's like my grandchildren's children can come and see, the accomplishments and the things that I've done, and that Prisby name will go on.
Congratulations, Ray.
All right, very cool stuff. Looking forward to talking to Ray a little bit later in the show tonight. For now, we're going to bring in Adam. We know Greenie's out there somewhere in the world. He's actually in St. Louis. I think he's got a pretty good view of the arch, literally and figuratively here, as he travels the world. Greenie, of course, always buying, always selling, always on the lookout for your collections. If you missed it over last week, we announced the launch of the retail site, particularly for the custom NIL card division, which now features well over 26 athletes, primarily at this point from women's college basketball, but a really unique program that Greenie has launched, giving student athletes a pathway to take advantage of their own name, image, and likeness and earn some revenue and learn a little bit about the PR and marketing game. And very cool stuff over there. So head over to FanInductee.com. Check out the players available, particularly if you're in the Midwest. We've got Reagan Bass, who's now at Purdue, the all-time leading scorer at Strongsville High School. You've got players at Ball State, Wright State, Cleveland State. The entire Cleveland State team is available, including the last two Horizon League Players of the Year in Colby Maples and Destiny Leo. And of course, Mickey Purdue, who's at the top of the point scoring charts in collegiate basketball. So make sure you check that out. Akron players as well. We had Maddie Basicki on a couple weeks ago to talk to her about those cards. So make sure you check them out. Support local, support your communities. Proceeds benefit these student athletes and help them out with some really cool cards as well. So greeniecards.com. We may or may not hear from Steve at some point tonight directly from the Arch, but we'll keep it rolling. We're going to welcome in Adam, our resident expert on the modern side, the event side, the production side. Adam, how you doing this evening?
Wonderful. How's it going?
It's going. Really, really cool stuff. We're going to welcome Cooper for the first time tonight. We're going to talk to Ray about his Hall of Fame career that continues on and some really cool stuff.
Yeah,
So
I've seen Ray's collection before on various social sites. It's ridiculous.
It's pretty impressive. So he's a Hall of Fame fan, as we've talked about, but he's a collector at heart. And I know he's looking forward to talking about some of his stuff, as are we. I'm really curious. I got to talk to him the other day. I had so many questions, but I was like, we got to save some of this for the show and get to talk to Ray about some of his favorite stuff. But what's going on in your world? I know first and foremost, there's an event coming up, Black Friday. Talk about the vault sale and what that looks like at Greenie Sports Cards, the worldwide headquarters.
Yeah, we Mike and I went in and put the finishing touches on today. We've got 5 for $1 boxes, and then if you get 100 cards, they're 10 for $1. We've got $1 boxes. We've got $2 boxes. We've got wax. We got a bunch of specials going on blasters. Of course, I have our prices marked boxes out. Vintage rooms all set up and ready to go. I'll be there buying. So if anybody's got anything they want to bring in to sell, stop on by and see me, and I'd be happy to check out what you got.
Very cool. So to paint a little bit of this picture, Greenie has and continues to do things very differently from most of the rest of the industry, innovating in this space in a number of different areas. There isn't a physical retail shop, but the vault is massive. It's a former bank. It's where you guys keep tens of thousands of cards and product and memorabilia. And every so often people get a peek in here, including Geraldo is in, filming a commercial as we shared last year for the Super Bowl. But so the vault itself is a really cool space. It's not something people get to see every day, but take people through that a little bit, what that looks like when they come out.
Yeah, I mean, the bank, I think, was built in either 1909 or 1911, something like that. So it's a historic building in Twinsburg. It's been there forever. I think most recently, before we took it over, it was a First Merit Bank. But it's just an awesome space. I mean, there's 2 vaults. It's an old school bank. There's offices. It's not like today where you walk in and everything's on one floor. Like it's so old that they had to put in basically a person dumbwaiter, so handicapped folks could get up and in and everything. It's a really cool, unique space that I get to hang out in every day.
Absolutely. And then when it's open to the public, they can walk through and it's like a pop-up museum with all your stuff. So that'll take place. That's coming up Black Friday. And then the end of this month, there's the final Broadview Heights show of the year. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that one always fills 100 tables. There's always several hundred people through the doors for that one. It's one of my favorite shows because it's kind of like the smaller Kirtland show, but on a bigger scale where everybody's super friendly. There's all kinds of wheeling and dealing going on, whether it be with us or any of the, 50 to 75 vendors that come in, and they've got an awesome little food station in the back. You can get hot dogs, hamburgers, pretzels. They got coffee, muffins. I mean, and it's awesome because it's a gym basically, but it's a upscale gym. It's in the back of the back end of a church, and there's plenty of parking. There's plenty of room to move around in there. It's one of my favorite shows because it's not small, but it feels like small.
One of the things I really love about the Greenie Empire is there's so many accessible points along the way. So Broadview Heights, 100 table show, as you said. There's the vault sale, which is a different presentation of this memorabilia. There's Kirtland, which is a smaller, much more intimate show where everybody knows your name. And then it scales all the way up to the Great Lakes Collectors Convention, which with the National going away for a few years, will be the biggest collectible event certainly in Ohio over the next couple of years. So really accessible points for many people. I'm going to ask you, Adam, same question. I'm going to throw at Cooper here in a little bit because this stuff can be overwhelming. I collected, years ago in my youth. I don't really collect these days, but if I were to start and people are starting, there's so many things out there. You've shared a little bit of this before, but talk to people. How do you access this world with all of these things out there?
A lot of it's I'm relatively new to it. I didn't do it forever. I got back into it in 2018, back when the Browns drafted Baker and Chubb and Denzel. That's really when I hit it hard. I learned a lot from social media. I spent a lot of time just looking at what people were posting, picked out what different things were worth what. And, I learned a lot from that. I mean, I just put my head down into it and dug and read, you know what I mean? And the biggest advice I can give to anybody that's getting into it or back into it is just buy what you like. Don't start going crazy and thinking that you're going to immediately be an entrepreneur, because you're not. There's so many different levels of, even from like with Cooper coming in to talk vintage, like I know enough to get dangerous with vintage, but I am by no means anywhere near an expert on vintage. But that's, it's just a different layer of knowledge. And that's why, we have so many different layers of people that help us get to where we need to go, in terms of like bringing you in and helping us with the shows. I handle all the new stuff. Greenie handles the 90s stuff. Cooper handles the vintage stuff. There's so many different layers to being a player in this game that, it takes time and a lot of knowledge and open-mindedness to get to where we are.
Right. And the one thing you can't replace is trust and credibility. So if you're buying or selling, talk to Greenie. Semi quickly, because we got to get to the vintage side of it. Talk about what's happening in the hobby world today. What's newsworthy?
So we got 2024 Mosaic Football coming out this week. Comes out tomorrow. Actually, is the supposed to be release date for Mosaic Football. It's one of the hottest products of the year. Well, we got Bowman U up there, but we'll talk about that next. But Mosaic Football's got, all different kind of parallels. It's got the rookies. It's like it's an offshoot of Prism. It doesn't carry the value or the weight that Prism does, but it's got super short print inserts that are cool. The micro mosaic and the stained glass and the money inserts are really cool. It's got rookie autos. And so, it has veterans, Hall of Famers in it. It's just a really cool product. There's different ways you can buy it. You can buy it retail, blasters, hangers, fat packs. You can also get hobby or H2 boxes, which bring, it's different levels of a hobby box. The first off the line boxes are, those are really unique. They have their own special parallels. The parallel list to get to fill out a rainbow. I remember back when I started, it was like 27. Now it's like 50 something, which, people have different opinions about it, but it's really cool when you get them complete. I know I completed back in 2019, I completed a Denzel Ward Prism Rainbow, and it was pretty awesome. Whoops. Also, we got coming out Bowman Chrome University. So this started coming out like 2 years ago. Sorry about that. My phone keeps going off. Bowman Chrome U. This is where you can get Bowman Chrome firsts of all the big college football players. And this product is basically going the way of Bowman for baseball, except everybody's in college uniforms. And what's cool is, I know college uniforms aren't the hottest thing in the hobby, but this product certainly holds its value. You'll get Bowman firsts of all the big names, or, the guys that are in their second year. And what's cool about this is because it takes 3 years for out of high school to get into the NFL. So these guys you can collect them for at least 3 years until they get into the pros. And, the rookie autos and the short printed and low serial numbered guys, those are always going to hold value, especially their first, just like they do in baseball. It's a fun product, and what I like about this that's different from Panini product is that you can get numbered stuff in the retail product. It's not easy to get it, but you can. Whereas in Panini products, you almost have zero shot of getting anything numbered in a product. There's image variations that you can pull. There's a bunch of different inserts, tons of autographs. I don't think there's any super short printed inserts in this, but there's plenty of them to be in there with autographs and everything. It's just a cool product. And, college football and college basketball, as big as that's getting now, these will hold value too, because, like we have Ohio State, Michigan on Sunday. Ohio State fans are crazy. They will buy anything that says Ohio State on it. So, and that goes across all college football, really. I can't hear you, Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm pumped for the game. Saying thank you for that, Adam. Just within all of that, all you explained in the last couple minutes, again, there's so much product out there. There's so many things, but you gave us some tremendous advice for those looking to get into collecting and don't want to be overwhelmed with it. Buy what you like. There's some really cool looking stuff. I'll take that advice to heart as well. And, you don't have to be everything and all things at once. Just if you find something you like, grab it and go from there.
Absolutely.
So, Adam, thank you for joining us. I'm sure we'll see you again next week, if not beyond. So very cool stuff out of Adam. Let's shift gears a little bit from the modern take to the vintage side. We'll bring in our resident expert for Greenie. Coop, thanks for changing your attire this evening.
I'm doing a show in Cleveland. I have to wear a brown shirt, right?
That's very good. We will acknowledge there's other fandoms out there. So, but let's talk a little bit about vintage. Again, appreciate this first opportunity we're getting to have you on the show.
Yep.
There's a lot out there. If somebody's interested starting in the vintage market, they like the older stuff. First of all, what's the break? When is something considered vintage versus modern?
So typically it's always been 1980. 1980 is when you started seeing hobby shops open as hobby shops. Before that, people did not make a living on sports cards or memorabilia. For true vintage purists, 73 is the last year they offered sets in different series. So some people say 73, some people say 80. I watched a video on YouTube the other day. A guy was talking about how 1993 Finest was vintage, and that pains me, but I guess it is now. Almost it's 31 years old. So
I guess that in some circles makes me vintage. So,
Right. It made me feel old to hear 93 Finest be considered vintage, but
very good. So, what's the first thing you could tell people about the vintage market? You know, there's a lot of stuff out there now in the modern space and cards everywhere, but what is the real appeal of vintage card and vintage collecting?
so the good news is, and this is definitely one thing I saw around COVID, you know, so many people jumped back into this space. And the modern market looks so different. Like you had mentioned it, like you collected when you were younger, you had some stuff, but the modern space looks so much different than it did in, you know, the late 80s, early 90s. So if you were out of this hobby for 30 years and jumped back in, it's like trying to read hieroglyphics. There's so many parallels, so many products, so many things, where the vintage space is a lot more compatible with those guys that collected, you know, during their childhood in the late 80s, early 90s. There's really only one product for most years. You get a little overlap in the late 40s, early 50s with Bowman and Topps, but outside of that, it's Topps for all four sports and a couple Fleer baseball sets and a couple Fleer basketball sets. But realistically, it's one or two products for every year that were mainstream products, and that's a lot easier to understand as opposed to, you know, Mosaic that has 40 different parallels in Mosaic. There's a lot less choices, which means there's a lot less confusion, and it's a lot easier to hone in on what you really want and what you want to do.
I think it's a little bit like history. There was less of it 30, 40, 50 years ago. So I probably could have named most of the players growing up, you know, 79 through 85, 87. You're right. There was one set. You had Topps, you knew the players, you knew most of the teams, and you weren't chasing all these cards.
And because there's only one set, those cards themselves have become iconic. Every year that a Mickey Mantle was produced, or every year a Hank Aaron was produced, it becomes, you know, it's an iconic card. Whereas now there's 40 different products to choose from every season, and those cards don't hold the weight that they did back then.
And you had sort of a natural attrition of those cards because parents were throwing out collections from the attic in the basement, and the marketplace became less and less, rather than sort of the purposeful creation of 101s and these days, and only putting out certain numbers of cards in the market.
Well, and the important thing to realize is that attrition rate is what made this a hobby. Kids in adults in the 80s wanted a piece of their childhood from the 50s and 60s. And because most mothers threw them away, or they ended up in bicycle spokes, or, you know, they just got tossed in the dumpster or thrown out at a rummage sale for, you know, whatever. There's a reason why those cards are worth something. And that's because a lot of them didn't survive. And when you add the condition aspect into it, you know, so now you have cards that are in a limited supply, and a lot of them that are around aren't in good shape. Therefore, top graded cards sell for really big dollars. And that led to this being able to be not just a hobby, but an industry, really.
So I've got two more questions for you, in essence, Coop. One of them is, what is one or some of the mistakes that people make trying to get back in the vintage market if they're not prepared to take the deeper dive?
So grading is a huge thing that I see. Not buying graded is a safe thing to do. People overgrading or undergrading their cards. There's many times where somebody walks up to me at a show and says, you know, well, I saw on eBay that this was $15,000. It is in an 8 or a 9, but they may, you know, it may be a 3 or a 4, which takes a card down to less than $500. That's the number one mistake that I see. Is I found a box of stuff in the attic, and I saw that it's worth all this money on eBay, and in reality, the condition is nowhere close to what is being offered on eBay, but people think that it's worth a lot more. In terms of buying vintage, it's probably the same thing. People buy raw, ungraded cards, not knowing how to grade. They send it in, they get it graded. It comes back a lower grade than they were expecting, and they're disappointed in the end.
Very good stuff. So you're a vintage guy. We talked a little bit about vintage, but let's look to the future. What is the future for the vintage market, and where is this heading with all this other stuff out there?
I get asked this a lot. And the argument a lot of people will make is, well, nobody, in 20 years, the people that saw Mickey Mantle play aren't going to be collecting cards anymore because they won't be around. And my argument for that is people now that are buying Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Lou Gehrig, Walter Johnson, Cy Young never saw those guys play either. And I think that your upper echelon Hall of Famers, Mantle, DiMaggio, Williams, Aaron, Clemente, Koufax, are always going to continue to hold value. Where you're going to lose value is some of the lesser end Hall of Famers, Louis Aparicio, Robin Roberts, Warren Spahn even. I mean, Warren Spahn is probably a top 10, 15 pitcher of all time, but the name recognition isn't there. And I think if you chase your time, again, buying what you like is important. And if you're a Braves fan and Warren Spahn's your guy, then by all means go out and buy him. But I think that in the long run, guys like Harmon Killebrew, again, 585, he's got over 500 home runs. Absolute stud. But when you talk about Harmon Killebrew in the same breath as guys like Hank Aaron, Roberto Clemente, Mickey Mantle, it just doesn't hold the same weight. And I think that that's where now, with that being said, buying rookie cards of any Hall of Famer is a great option all the time. But there's no need to own a 1965 Topps Whitey Ford when his rookie came out in 1951. Again, if you're a Yankees fan, buy it because you like it. But as an investment or to hold value long term, I don't know how that's going to work out for the lesser Hall of Famers outside of those upper echelon guys.
That makes sense. Really appreciate the perspective, Coop. Let people know where they could find you outside of the Greenie Sports Cards world.
So Coop's Cardboard Corner on Facebook. We do weekly sales. We run a one-day vintage auction page. So vintage auctions go up every day, and they go up every day at 8, and they end every day at 8, and then you get a new batch for the next day. We do buy it now sales throughout the week on the Coop's Cardboard Corner Buy It Now page. I do a virtual card show every Tuesday, which is kind of a neat concept where anybody can join and come sell their ball cards. That's on Facebook. You can find a link for that on the Coop's Cardboard Corner business page. And eBay, Winifred and the Satellite. We just hit over 4,800 listings today. So Winifred's my daughter's name. So we've been on eBay since 2004. So it's a lot going on.
A lot going on. Well, we appreciate you taking a couple minutes out of your busy Tuesday, your busy week to join us.
Yeah. No problem.
Can't wait to have you back again and keep talking vintage.
All right. Absolutely. Go Blue.
I'm sorry you cut out there. Thanks to Cooper. Thanks to Adam. Really excited to talk to our next guest as well. We're going to show you just a couple minute preview video to set the stage here on Ray Prisby, and very cool stuff. So check this out, and when we come back, we'll welcome Ray to the show.
Without fans, pro football wouldn't exist. That's why the Ford Hall of Fans was created. Now, in year 3, its mission is to recognize pro football's biggest fans by honoring them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, next to all their favorite players. This year has been challenging, but pro football fans have a love for the game that brings us together and makes us stronger. That's why I'm here in Cleveland, Ohio, to surprise one of the Browns' most passionate fans, Ray Showdawg Prisby, and nominate him for the 2021 class of the Ford Hall of Fame.
I guess I'm a little fanatical when it comes to Browns and collecting Browns memorabilia. I was pretty much born into it. Probably like most kids, you start collecting cards at an early age. But then when I got out the Air Force, my son was going to card shows, and I was bit. You have certain pieces that you want to get, and then when you finally get that, then you move on to the next thing. It's an ongoing, never-ending saga. You feel like a kid all over again. It's like the fountain of youth. I would say probably the big three: Jim Brown, Bernie Kosar, and I'll go autograph.
When a player is inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Hall of Fame president, David Baker, literally knocks on his door and delivers the news. Now I get to pay it forward for Ray's nomination.
Oh, no way. No way.
Hey, Ray, I'm here to nominate you for the Ford Hall of Fame.
Oh, my goodness. I was reduced to a 6-year-old. I couldn't talk, had goosebumps. It was like Christmas and all the holidays and birthdays rolled up into one.
Ray and his house tops everything I've ever seen on me. It's unbelievable what he's done, and I appreciate it, and I can look back and see some history that I forgot about. It's just fantastic. It makes my day, it makes my year.
I mean, I still haven't gotten over Jim Brown being here.
Help Ray get into the hall by casting your vote at FordHallOfFans.com.
It is my distinct honor and pleasure to welcome to the show Ray Showdawg Prisby. Ray, welcome, welcome, welcome.
How about now?
We got you.
Okay. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's not every night you get to talk to a Pro Football Hall of Famer. So how many are there of you at this point? You were inducted in 2021. You got
Correct.
the knock, which we'll talk about in a little bit. How many fans are inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame at this point?
I call us the Dirty Dozen. It's 12 of us. So, yep. But I'm the only Cleveland Brown one. And please don't wait, Jake. Please don't ask me to name all of them.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But that's pretty remarkable. There's a extremely finite number of players that play the game that are actually inducted into the hall, and there's even fewer fans. So that's there's 12 people out there that didn't necessarily play the game at the highest professional level, but you're one of 12 people that can say you've been immortalized in the Hall of Fame. That's remarkable.
Hey, I was getting goosebumps and I almost started crying when you showed that clip. Every time I watch that, it's like I'm reliving it all over again.
It's amazing. So we want to talk about how you got started and connect some of those dots, but let's start with the knock. The knock has become, and with Dave Baker, former president of the Hall, it became synonymous of players who had reached that pinnacle and were just waiting on that knock on the door. You received that. Take us through that moment and what that's like for you to get that knock and know that you're going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame.
So are you? Can you see me? Because I don't see me. Oh, there I go. So are you talking about the Jim Brown knock or the Dave Baker knock?
Yeah. Well, let's start. I know the Jim Brown one happened first. Take us through that, and then we'll talk about Dave Baker.
Okay. So the Jim Brown one. I have to give it to Ford Motor Company and the Hall of Fame, because the way they do it, they downplay it so they can catch you surprised. So when they called me 2 weeks prior to coming out, and they say, hey, listen, we're just going to come out real quick. We're going to shoot a quick video, quick interview. We're going to be in and out. But meantime, I was already one of the 6 finalists. But obviously, I didn't know that because, again, they want you to be surprised when the Hall of Famer comes and knocks on your door. So the morning of the actual shoot, they got there like 9 a.m. and they recorded, they filmed, we did the interview. 12 o'clock, we broke for lunch, got back at 1. At 1:17, so we're still in the back room shooting, and one of the ladies that was part of the staff, she came out, she said, or she yelled back in the room, she said, hey, somebody's knocking on your door. Are you expecting somebody? And I wanted to say, well, this is Youngstown. People don't usually show up at your house unannounced. but anyway, so I just figured that one of her people got locked out. So I come out to the door, and to be honest with you, what you seen was the second shoot, because initially when I went to the door and I opened it, I just stood there because it's like, wait a minute, why is Jim Brown at my front door and he's talking, his mouth is moving, but I'm not hearing anything that he's saying. So they was like, okay, wait, we're gonna have to redo that again. Ray, go back. Now just give us a little bit more excitement this time. So what you saying in the actual thing, that was, like I said, that was the second shoot. So no, it was just an amazing, blessed day, because again, 2 weeks prior, I didn't have the Jim Brown room set up. So so again, 2 weeks prior, I'm like, I have too much Jim Brown stuff. I need to create his own room. Now, again, I did this not knowing that he was coming. So it was just one of those, it was just the greatest day. I can't really have a down day because all I have to do is play that video and I'm right back up again. So no, it was just an amazing, beautiful day.
It's so cool. You get to experience something that many people have dreamed about, will never get to taste in their life. So you fast forward to was this at the Super Bowl now where Dave comes by? So now you're at the Super Bowl. You've got a little bit of an advantage. You kind of know you're in already, but what?
No. Because see, this is what they told us. They said, okay, you got to remember, this is during COVID. So instead of coming to our hotel rooms, they put us in conference rooms. So there was 3 of us down there. And so all 3 of us we had our own conference room. So they said, so listen, we're going to start an interview with you. If you hear the knock during the interview, that means you got in. If not, just enjoy this Super Bowl and, going back home. So I happen to go first, and I'm really trying to talk slow because I'm thinking, okay, maybe if I slow it down, maybe Dave whatever. So I'm talking slow and I'm going, and then interview's over and he left. And I'm like, oh man, I was down there with my son-in-law and I'm still mic'd up, but I completely forgot about it. Jeremy, I basically went back to the south side of Youngstown. I will say what I said, but all I know is my son-in-law pointed, he said, your mic is still on. And I was like, oh, but then I could hear him talking next door, and then I didn't hear a knock over there. So then a little more time went by, and then boom, 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 and then that was it. So essentially, all three of us got in.
Yeah, that's so cool. I thought you knew when Jim Brown knocked, but yeah, to go there and still not know, and to get the Dave Baker knock, that's just remarkable. So so now you're inducted. Let's trace that back to the beginning then. What you've got a remarkable collection. People have seen your stuff all over town, whether they realize it or not. You have the big bobbleheads of the Cleveland Browns. We've seen those at the stadium. We've seen them at the Hall of Fame. You have an incredible orange Corvette that's decked out that I believe is called JB for your fandom of Jim Brown. Where did this all start? Where did Ray get the bug, little Ray, for starting to collect and become this super fan?
Well, to be honest with you, it's like the gentleman, I can't remember. Was it Adam that was on right before this?
Cooper Vintage, Adam Modern.
Okay, yeah, it's like he said. It's like he said, when you started as a kid, and this is exactly how it happened. I came back home once I got out the Air Force. I had never heard of a card show, so I took my son to a card show, and I'm looking at all these cards with the prices on them, and the one thing that jumped out more than anything was the price of the O.J. Simpson rookie cards. There were cards in there like $700, $800, $900, and I knew when I was collecting, I had about 20 O.J. Simpson rookie cards. So I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, hold on. So I ran to the phone booth because they didn't have cell phones yet. I ran to the phone booth and I called my mom and I said, hey, remember all my cards that I had? She said, yeah, I put them in the shoebox. They're in the back of the closet. So as soon as I went to the house and started looking through my cards, I was sucked right back into it. right back down that rabbit hole. But it's a good rabbit hole.
Absolutely. And you've, at this point, you've acquired this remarkable collection. You've created pieces. You're an artist. Talk about the bobbleheads, the big bobbleheads. I've seen them. I believe of Bernie Kosar, of Otto Graham. I think you even have some there. Look at those.
There they are, and those are the 6 feet tall ones.
You've got Joe Thomas, Lou the Toe Groza,
and Otto Graham.
That's and you've made those yourself.
No. The Cleveland Browns. The Browns own those.
Made those. Okay.
Well, they had them made. They were always at training camp and they were always at the stadium. But the problem was, those 3 had so severe damage on the shoulders, and the Browns didn't know how to fix them, so they sold them. But I knew the bobblehead. We call him the bobblehead god. He's in Rochester, Ohio, and I put him in a U-Haul, took him up there, and got them fixed. And as you see, they look brand new now.
He's like the Dr. James Andrews of bobblehead, because you got.
Actually, I call him Picasso, but we can go with yours too.
Oh yeah. Well, Joe Thomas and the Toe, they took a beating on the offensive line. So
yeah, they did.
What within your collection? Let's call out a couple items that come to mind. What are your prized possessions? What are the really unique pieces that stand out to you that you're most proud of?
Okay, so I was prepared for this. I studied. No, so I used to do this trivia question every couple years. And what it is, I would always ask, who is this superstar player number 45? And almost to the fault, everybody would automatically say Ernie Davis. Well, if you know the history of the Browns, you would know that Ernie Davis never played he never played in the game. So obviously that couldn't be him. But this one particular year, and I'm gonna pull up this other picture as well too. This other particular year, a guy, he messaged me, he said, "Hey, I got one of those jerseys." And I said, "Really?" I said, "Could you send me a picture?" And he sent me a picture of it. And we corresponded back and forth. So he asked me to call him because he wanted to explain the picture. I mean, how he got the jersey. And long story short, his father played for Hiram, where the Browns practiced, and the jersey was in the trash. Father picked it up, threw it in a locker. Fast forward, he retired, gave the locker to his son-in-law and daughter, and the jersey was in there. So the guy basically told me, he said, "Listen, we have no connection to this jersey at all. I think, to be honest with you, we just want to give it to you." So with me, I couldn't just take the jersey. So what we did, I had Clay Matthews was his favorite player. So I had a Clay Matthews painted jersey done, and I got the number 45 jersey, which that's probably the most expensive jersey in my collection, and I got it basically for free. Well, with the this is the jersey right here.
On a trade, a good trade.
Right, and the best thing about that trade, he was like, "Man, I know I got the better end of this," and I'm thinking to myself, "No, I got the better end." So whenever that happens, that's the best trade. When everybody thinks they got the best part of the trade.
Very cool.
So wait a minute, hold on. So to go with that was from. So this program, this is the first game that Jim. This is the 45 game. This is the game that he wore the number 45. And it took me forever, but I finally found the ticket and I had him sign it too. So that's the first game, and this is the not memorable number 45 game.
Very cool. Cooper was talking about vintage in baseball, whether it's Mickey Mantle or Hank Aaron. In football, there's Jim Brown. I mean, we're a little biased here in Cleveland, but I never got to see him play in my time, but he is revered as the greatest football player ever. What can you tell us about Jim Brown and in your collection that people may or may not know?
Well, he's had a lot of oddball pieces. He had the bazooka. That was a nice piece. National City Bank card. That was a nice piece. There's a lot of really nice oddball pieces of his, and I made it my life's effort to try to get every one of them. I got a lot of them, but I'm sure there's probably some really oddball pieces out there that I don't have.
So it's to call it an oddball piece would be a disservice because it's a remarkable piece of machinery. But talk about JB, the orange Corvette, and the genesis of that.
Well, okay, so where the thought process of that, I love tailgating at the Muni lot and a couple of the other lots up there, but mainly the Muni lot. And if you've ever been there, and you know, a lot of Browns fans, there's some really nice tailgate vehicles up there. So to be honest with you, my thought process was I just wanted a really cool tailgate vehicle. So I was kind of going back and forth, but because I retired at General Motors, the Corvette was the most sensible car to get, and it arguably the #1 sports car in America. So I ended up with the Corvette, and I started the first year I got it. I actually put a wrap on it. People were telling me it was cheaper, you know, that whole kind of thing. But it didn't last. It didn't even last that first year. So the following year, took the whole car apart, and we took the whole car apart, and they had it painted. So then once it was painted, then we had to go to the interior guy. He took all the interior out. And it's just, you know, it's just been, and then the autograph thing, I wasn't even thinking about that. Hereford Dixon was sitting in it, and he was like, "Hey man, this is a really nice car. You want me to sign it?" And once he signed it, went down that rabbit hole. But I'm up to, I actually counted, I'm up to about 80 autographs on it now.
That's very, very cool. Haley, I'm going to pull this off if you got the other ones going as well. Yeah, and thanks to Here We Go Brownies that was checking in. Were some photos taken at a recent event that we shared there. So, I mean, Ray, you got two passions: cars and cards. It's and you figured out a way to kind of combine it all together in your passions.
Well, you know, I do a lot of car shows as well. So, I mean, car shows is like really, I mean, I love car shows because the main thing about when people see the car, they come up to me and they tell me all these old stories. Yeah, you know, my sister's no longer with me, but we used to go to the game, and dude, the heartfelt stories, man, is all worth it.
That's very cool. You got some other stuff in the works as well. I think some plans to showcase some of your stuff and make it accessible for people. You ready to talk about any of that yet, or are we a little premature?
Oh, no. You're right on time. So the Browns had a truck that they used at training camp, game day, and you would see it around town on special events. So and I'm going to pull it up for you. I was able to purchase it. So now I have what I'm hoping to be, and here's the picture right here. So that whole side drops down, and if you look close, I can put my mobile museum right inside of there and just have a whole lot of fun. That's the other side. That's the front of it. I don't know who that is, but yeah, that's pretty much the truck. So yeah, a lot of fun.
That's going to be so cool to be able to take that out and take it to different locations and perhaps a Greenie show one of these days. But just remarkable stuff. What is there something in your collection that you would never part with, that you would never think of selling or moving on from?
I'm sorry.
Maybe the whole thing.
See, and see, I have another friend. He's a collector like that too. It's like once I buy something, and it's like it's family. How can you can't get rid of family? But I will say this though, I do get more enjoyment out of giving stuff away to unsuspecting fans, because you see that they really appreciate it. But to sell it, I mean, don't get me wrong, I will sell stuff if I'm trying to, especially if there's a big piece or a high ticket item that I'm trying to get and I don't have the money, then yeah, something has to go.
So I have to ask you too, Ray, because I've been in this town my whole life as well. You are a Browns super fan. They don't make it easy on us. The team doesn't make it easy. What is your advice for long-suffering Browns fans, or really fans of any team? How do you get through the season? How do you continue to root for this team and come back again and again? And they just break our hearts. Although last Thursday they did not, and maybe that's the secret sauce, that every once in a while they just give you a little something and they pull you right back in.
Well, and I learned this before. There was a time I had to have before I had all this set up, I had all my stuff in storage, and I actually set up a couple of display cases, and I pretty much set up the storage room kind of like a display room. Every time I got depressed, and it didn't matter what it was, whenever I was down depressed, I would literally go sit in that room, turn the lights off, and just sit there. And in 20 minutes to a half an hour, I would come out rejuvenated. So to answer your question, have you looked around in my house? I pretty much, those bobbleheads over there, more bobbleheads over there. Then you got display cases over there. And you got these footballs over there. And this is only, keep in mind, Jay, this is only one room. There's 5 more rooms in the house. So
it's remarkable.
So no. But here's the silver lining when the Browns are doing bad. When the Browns are doing bad, the price of memorabilia goes down, which is, for somebody like me, that's great. My daughter, she told me, she said she was so mad. She said they went to the playoffs last year because every year I already know what I'm getting from my kids and grandkids. It's going to be something Cleveland Brown. And she was really nice. But because we went to the playoffs, when she went Christmas shopping, she was like, "Oh, the Cleveland Brown stuff was sky high." I said, "Hey, but we're doing good over here. So you can't have it. You can't have it both ways."
Right. Yeah, it's been hard. There's fewer moments of joy, but that's some interesting advice for all the collectors out there too, regardless of where you're tuning in from and across the country. If you're a fan of a team, I guess the silver lining is, in a down year, you can collect and you can acquire things more efficiently than if your team is doing really well.
Yep, absolutely. Hey Jay, you ever seen one of these? This is a full box from 1962 with the Jim Brown card on it, on the back.
Wow. Pristine condition, signed.
I had him sign.
Very, very cool. We're gonna have to bring some cameras out, Ray, and do a proper tour of
oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, what can we expect for your Browns coming out of Thursday night's victory? What are you hoping to see the rest of the season?
Man, I just want to see them continue to improve and try to make it through the year because the thing is, I know a lot of the players are kind of on the bubble. And then, that patchwork offensive line, it seems like they're starting to get healthy again. So I just want to see them continue, improve, and maybe win a couple more games.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, they every game they win messes up the draft order a little bit, but you want to see them. I never want the team to lose. You can't root against them. So, yeah, it's been a tough year because we just haven't been playing for anything for weeks, and to kind of be out of it early, but. You found a way to stick with it, to celebrate your fandom. It's you're an inspiration, Ray. It's to ascend to the level you had. I'm certain it didn't start out that way. Nobody on the side of fandom says, I'm going to make it to the Hall of Fame someday. But what a journey you've had, and thank you for your service as well from the Air Force, and then your service to the Cleveland fandom as well.
Well, thank you, Jay.
So yeah, any parting words tonight from the collectible side or from the NFL fandom side?
Wait a minute, you cut out for a second. I didn't hear you.
Any parting words on the fandom collectible side or Brown side. I guess I'll ask you that. As a collector, a longtime collector, you gave us some good advice about when the teams are down. What else can you share about some insight about collecting and collectibles?
Well, I'm just going to piggyback on what the guy said before me. Buy and collect what you like. Once you start collecting for an investment, you're not going to win that. You're not going to win that. Just collect what you like and just keep on collecting. Because the thing is, and I'm just going to be honest with you, for me, the collecting is the fountain of youth. When I'm out here chasing cards, getting an autograph, dude, I'm feeling 12 again. So for me, yeah, I'm gonna keep on doing it until I can't do it no more.
That's awesome. Well, I hope it's a very, very long time to come. Ray, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We appreciate your fandom. We appreciate you as a representative of Cleveland fans in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and can't wait to do this again.
Thanks, Jay.
All right. Our thanks to Ray Showdawg Prisby, as we said, inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame for his fandom in 2021. There are only 12 non-professional football players that have ascended to that level, which is pretty remarkable, and we're lucky to have him right here in Cleveland. Thanks to Here We Go Brownies on some of those photos and for checking in. We appreciate everybody watching across the country, and Patty and Randy checking in from Dallas. We appreciate that. Continue to support the shows. Follow us on the socials. We want to check in. Speaking across the country, let's bring in the man himself for a couple of seconds and talk to Greenie. Greenie, what was for dinner tonight? You got on mute.
There you go, Jeremy.
There you go.
There you go. We've made it to the Hyatt St. Louis Arch. If you can, I'll show you real quick. That is the arch that you can see right there. So we're at the Hyatt here. We just had Ruth Chris for dinner, and on the way to my sister's house in beautiful Buffalo, Missouri. So we'll be there tomorrow. But that was fun. I got to watch as a fan while we were sitting here eating dinner. We had it all up on our 3 different phones here. So Ray is something else, and there's a lot to take away from that. We'd love to have that vehicle at the Great Lakes Collectors Convention. So I'm sure we could probably talk to Ray on that. And you mentioned we should go to his house and do a good interview. That is some serious collections that he's got going on there.
Yeah, we only scratched the surface with a little bit of a camera view on what he's got there. Just remarkable stuff, and really, he's a fan at heart, and like you said, he's not collecting to sell. He's not collecting as an investment. Right. There's real passion there. There's real fandom, and I have a lot of respect.
Interestingly enough, our waiter here, Kyle, is a big collector of cards, and we've been talking about that. He's been at the table here. He's got a huge Pujols collection. He had a Kobe collection, but I was showing him the Ray, and he got real interested in that, and he's going to look up Ray, and he goes, I wonder who are the other non-football players that are in the NFL Hall of Fame. So he's pretty interested here. Kyle, the waiter here, and he took the business card. He's going to follow and watch our shows. So you never know where you're going to meet somebody.
We'll get the list. If Kyle pops by, throw him on. We'll say hello.
Yeah.
But Greenie, just great show tonight. Lots of information. We got to talk to Adam about some hobby news. Coop checking in for vintage. I could talk to Coop. We could fill an hour with Coop too one of these days, just talking about the vintage market. And it's been a lot of fun. We want to thank Haley on the board behind the scenes. We want to thank again Adam and Cooper. We want to thank Ray Showdawg Prisby for checking in. We want to thank Dustin over at Here We Go Brownies for helping to support the show. And thank you to everybody who's tuning in.
Yeah, I saw the video from you guys at the Muni lot, and he tagged us. So we do appreciate that, and everybody that supports us. It doesn't go without thinking. So we do appreciate that.
Absolutely. So Thank you, Greenie. Thanks to you and everything we go. You got the vault sale coming up Friday. You've got Broadview Heights on the 28th of December. And Greenie, as always, may the cards forever be in your favor.
Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate you, holding down the fort tonight. And we'll be back next Tuesday after Thanksgiving. And we look forward to some stories from this weekend.
Sounds good. Make sure you check back in at 9 o'clock. Alex will be live on the auction side. He's got a whole slate of cards ready to go. eBay Live, look for the Greenie Sports Cards graphic and logo, and we'll see you along the way. Alex will be back Thursday. And again, thanks, Greenie. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. Follow us on the socials, and we'll be back next Tuesday.